Republican in the State House declining to join Democrats to fast-track legislation that would roll back the law.
We have a lot of time to work on this issue.
State senators are now trying to move forward with their own bill to repeal it, but that process could take weeks.
This is a stain on our history that this ban even exists, from a time when the age of consent was 10, from a time when women didn't have the right to vote.
The law prohibits abortion in every instance except one, to save the life of a mother. If no repeal is passed, the ban could take effect as soon as June.
Effectively, our ability to provide abortion care goes away. So if this law stands, you can no longer provide abortions here. That is correct.
At her clinic in Phoenix, Dr. Deshaun Taylor is telling patients they might not be able to get the care they need.
We are having conversations with them, letting them know that we're going week by week, because there will come a time when we'll have to stop.
The House and the Senate here are not expected to meet again until next Wednesday.
All right, Elizabeth Schulze, thank you very much. And millions of Americans are bracing for a new round of storms in what's turning out to be an active tornado season. At least 27 reported twisters in 7 states in just 3 days. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z is tracking it all for us. Hey, Ginger.
Let's go ahead and talk about the severe storm reports. At least 350 plus in the last 3 days that blew the damaging wind in excess of 60 miles per hour. 27 reported tornadoes, including one in northeastern Ohio. And we've got the pictures from the damage. They'll get out there and survey that, but that is likely a tornado, which takes Ohio to 39, still leading the country in tornado stats so far this year. Ferndale, Michigan shows you why it doesn't matter if you have a tornado or damaging wind. It can do a lot of damage, even if it's just from a straight line in a thunderstorm. And we're going to see that today. Today, the straight line winds and the damaging thunderstorms come for Dallas, down through Waco, up into the Ozarks. And then the highest tornado threat is in St. Louis. Springfield, Missouri is just on the outside there. Paducah, even Nashville is in the risk area for the storms, and that will go through the afternoon really today. So this is again an afternoon event, a little bit later as you get into the southern half.
All right, Ginger, thanks for that. And some wild weather overseas. The United Arab Emirates is struggling to recover from the heaviest recorded rainfall ever to hit the desert nation. Its main airport, Dubai International, is working to restore normal operations. Floodwaters covered portions of the runway, major highways, and roads. Hundreds of flights have been canceled or delayed, and only 30% of the world's second busiest airport is functional. What's worse is employees can't even get to work because of the closed roads. The largest international airline, Emirates, is allowing passengers to check in again, but delays are currently up to 20 hours. The Dubai airport says to check in with your carrier before making the trek. And coming up, an official alibi in the Idaho student murders. Lawyers for the suspect now says he was nowhere near the scene of the crime that night, and how they plan to prove he was more than 20 miles away without an eyewitness. And also ahead, a drive-through rescue, how a Taco Bell manager in Pennsylvania jumped into action to save a baby struggling to breathe.
Whenever news breaks,
we are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine. Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In rolling forward, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland. Let's go.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines from southern Israel.
Outside the Gaza Strip.
In Beirut. From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
A tragedy in a small town. A church pastor is dead.
Shot in the back with a 12-gauge shotgun.
People were like, what? The preacher's wife?
There had to be a good reason, some speculated, to pick up that shotgun and shoot her husband.
Mary appeared to have had a marriage made in heaven, but behind closed doors, it was a living hell.
All new 2020, Friday night at 9, 8 Central on ABC.
What would you do?
I was thinking I want to open up our marriage.
If you heard a husband being asked to open up his marriage.
I don't know if I feel comfortable that you've already, made decisions without me.
Well, just wait until you see what our hidden cameras catch.
I do not want another man in our marriage.
Well, this is what I want. Kate is on his way.
Wow. Be a dinner and a show. And just wait till you see what happens when he walks in.
Hell no.
What would you do? Sunday night, all new on ABC.
Welcome back. Lawyers for the suspect in the Idaho college murders are claiming cell phone data shows their client wasn't in the area the night of the crime. Brian Koberger's attorneys say that he was driving in a remote area, but experts say cell tower data isn't always reliable. ABC's Kana Whitworth has the latest.
Lawyers for Brian Koberger, the former PhD student accused of stabbing 4 University of Idaho students to death, saying they plan to use analysis of cell phone tower data to show Koberger was not near the crime scene at the time of the murders.
All right.
Last August, Koberger's lawyers claimed in a court filing the suspected murderer was instead driving around alone, as he often did when the murders were committed in November of 2022. The judge requesting Koberger's lawyers provide specific details, like names and addresses about his alibi that could be corroborated. The new filing claims he was driving in the opposite direction of the King Road home to hike and run and or see the moon and stars, something he did on several occasions, and that his cell phone contained numerous photographs taken on several late evenings and early mornings, including in November, depicting the night sky. Authorities say Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were killed between 4 and 4:20 a.m. on November 13th in their off-campus home. Experts say that while cell phone records can estimate where a person is, it's difficult to pinpoint someone's exact location, especially in rural or remote areas.
I can tell you with scientific certainty from his cell phone records if he was connected to the Moscow cell tower or the Pullman cell tower,
but I can't pinpoint him.
Authorities also say for a 2-hour period between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., Koberger's phone stopped reporting to the network entirely, which is consistent with the phone being out of service or in airplane mode.
Now, Alex, this is really the first time that we're seeing how Bryan Koberger's legal team plans to challenge the forensic evidence against him. They say this expert testimony will use those cell phone records to prove that he was more than 20 miles away in a rural area at the time that the murders were committed. Now, also, Alex, they say that Bryan Koberger was an avid runner and hiker, and that because the school year got so busy, those hikes turned into these nighttime drives in the countryside. They'll be back in court next month for a change of venue hearing. Alex.
I know you'll be watching, Kenna Whitworth. Thank you very much. Now to the drive-through rescue by a Taco Bell manager in Pennsylvania who jumped into action to save a baby struggling to breathe. Morgan Norwood has that story and the heart-pounding rescue all caught on camera.
It's the fast food franchise known for thinking outside the bun.
For the new Monterey Chicken Quesadilla, think outside the bun.
And this franchise is living up to its tagline, thanks to a Taco Bell manager whose split-second decision led to a life-saving moment.
I pulled him out, and he turned completely blue and was lifeless.
Natasha Long was going through the drive-thru with her son, Miles, when she realized he was struggling to breathe.
At that point, I just completely blacked out. I didn't know what to do.
Enter Taco Bell manager Becky Arbaugh to the rescue.
I threw my headset, I ran outside, so I took the baby and I started to do chest compressions on the baby, and then he finally started to breathe.
Baby Miles was rushed to a local hospital for treatment where his mom reports he's doing well. All of this as doctors try to figure out what caused his condition. The next day, Long called Taco Bell to thank Arbaugh for saving her son's life.
We couldn't be more grateful to Becky. She saved my son's life.
I just thought of myself as a mom with another mom that needed help.
Just heart-pounding video there. So Long and Arbaugh say they've been in contact every day since, with Arbaugh even offering to sit at the hospital with baby Miles so his parents can get a little bit more time to themselves. Alex, both said it was the beginning of a bond that will withstand the test of time. Alex?
A bond indeed. Morgan, thank you. All right, coming up, a royal return. Prince William makes his first public appearance since Princess Kate's diagnosis. Why he chose this cause to mark the occasion. But first, Swifties are counting down. Taylor Swift drops a new album in just a matter of hours. What we know about the Easter eggs the superstar is dropping.
This is not about parents who just let their kid watch violent movies, play violent video games. This is about parents who neglected their son, ignored his cries for help, then bought him a gun.
The first parents in America to be charged in a school shooting.
They purchased that gun for him and bragged about it. You don't get to walk away from that. That's a criminal act.
Sins of the Parents, the Crumbly Trials.
The opposite of love is not hate. It's just being ignored.
Only on Hulu.
Tonight, Donald Trump's criminal trial moves closer to seating a jury. Plus, will the battle over Ukraine aid put the House Speaker's job in jeopardy? Again, more Americans turn to World News Tonight with David Muir, the most-watched newscast on television.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the daily news podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
A tragedy in a small town. A church pastor is dead.
Shot in the back with a 12-gauge shotgun.
People were like, what? The preacher's wife?
There had to be a good reason, some speculated, to pick up that shotgun and shoot her husband.
Mary appeared to have had a marriage made it happen, but behind closed doors, it was a living hell.
All new 2020, Friday night at 9/8 Central on ABC. GME Monday, K-pop sensation ITZY performs live. Monday, it's ITZY. On tour on GMA, sponsored by Live Nation.
Reporting from the auto workers picket lines in Michigan, I'm Faith Abube. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. The countdown is now on for the highly anticipated release of the new Taylor Swift album. Swift is sending fans on an Easter egg hunt on social media and even at the pop-ups in Los Angeles ahead of the Tortured Poet Department's release. Our chief Taylor Swift correspondent, Will Reeve, has the latest.
The countdown is on for Taylor Swift's new album, and Swifties everywhere are in a frenzy.
What does the 2 mean? I need to know right now. I'm tired of these games, sister. Please, tell us.
And in true Taylor fashion, Easter eggs abound. The megastar dropping clues about Friday's Tortured Poets Department.
Half of TikTok right now is Taylor Swift fans just dissecting every little frame of every little video.
The album drops at midnight, and Swifties are ready for it, not with a whimper, but with a bang. Swarming this pop-up in Los Angeles, serving those who stand in wait with plenty of tea. How many clues? Let us count the waves.
We got new lyrics. It says even statues crumble if they're made to wait. Then there's the cabinet drawer wall that has 6 open drawers. All the clocks point to 2 o'clock. Are we getting another surprise 2 a.m. drop, Taylor?
And hark, a QR code. Footage from our Chicago station WLS showing this billboard going up in the Windy City. Scan it, and it takes you to a peculiar error page. And Taylor chiming in herself on Instagram, posting a video going from the set of her previous Midnight's album to the new one with another clue. The first music video set to drop tomorrow night.
Taylor's always been hiding little hints for her fans as she's really plotted out the strategies for these past few albums, Midnight's and especially this one.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
And do not go gentle into that good night, Swifties. Rage against the dying of the light, because you've got to stay up until midnight. That's when Tortured Poets Department comes out. Surely we will have unanimous close analysis by daybreak, Alex.
Will, I see what you did there. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, coming up, banned for life. Why an NBA player won't be returning to the court, and the precedent is good set for sports betting. Also ahead, the CDC is issuing a warning about Botox, which you should know before getting the shot. And plus, we're getting a sneak peek at National Geographic's new docuseries, The Secrets of the Octopus. What behaviors and characteristics may surprise you about these mysterious sea creatures.
This is not about parents who just let their kid watch violent movies, play violent video games. This is about parents who neglected their son, ignored his cries for help, and then bought him a gun.
The first parents in America to be charged in a school shooting.
They purchased that gun for him and bragged about it. You don't get to walk away from that. That's a criminal act.
Sins of the Parents, The Crumbly Trials.
The opposite of love is not hate. It's just being ignored.
Only on Hulu.
They're the most mysterious creatures on Earth. They're masterminds. Shapeshifters. They're just so incredibly alien. And yet, more like us than we ever could have imagined. What more do they have to tell us?
What would you do?
I was thinking I want to open up our marriage.
If you heard a husband being asked to open up his marriage.
I don't know if I feel comfortable that you've already, made decisions without me.
Well, just wait until you see what our hidden cameras catch.
I do not want another man in our marriage.
Well, this is what I want. Kate is on his way.
Wow. Be a dinner and a show. And just wait till you see what happens when he walks in.
Hell no. What would you do? Sunday night, all new on ABC.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland.
Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
A tragedy in a small town. A church pastor is dead.
Shot in the back with a 12-gauge shotgun.
People were like, what? The preacher's wife?
There had to be a good reason, some speculated, to pick up that shotgun and shoot her husband.
Mary appeared to have had a marriage made in heaven, but behind closed doors, it was a living hell.
All new 2020, Friday night at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Welcome back. Former President Trump is back in court today as the jury selection process resumes in his hush money trial. The judge is aiming for an opening statement to begin as soon as Monday, as long as 12 jurors and 6 alternates have been seated by then. Now, Trump has pleaded not guilty to falsifying business records to conceal a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. I want to bring in ABC News senior reporter Catherine Falders. She joins me along with ABC News executive editorial producer John Santucci and attorney and former prosecutor Emily Bradford. John, you're here with me. I want to start with you. So, it's back in court.
Yeah.
What are we expecting today?
Well, hopefully a jury, but so far it's going a little slow, but it's better than most people expected. So at the moment, we have 7 jurors that are on this panel. We need an additional 5 to get to 12, plus an additional 6 to get those alternates. I know a little bit of math, it's a little early, but so it goes. But the reality is that this is moving much faster than anybody would have expected. As you'll recall, Monday, it almost seemed like this was going to be mission impossible because we began with 96 jurors, half disqualified themselves, and others took themselves out because they couldn't be fair and impartial. They had other events going on in their lives. Because this is going to be, at the end of the day, Alex, a trial that's going to go on for some time. Prosecutors have indicated anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. That does not include a presentation by the defense, any rebuttal that could happen.
It's a commitment.
It's a long commitment, and really it becomes almost a full-time job for jurors. And that alone weighs on them. Take out the politics or the facts of the case, just the time commitment. So, in theory, today we're going to move forward with that process. As you indicated as we came on the air, Judge Merchan has said he'd like to find a way to get this started by Monday. We'll see how today goes.
Okay. Well, and Catherine, I want you to hop in here. So, we know a little bit about some of these jurors right now. I mean, we've got a teacher, we've got a nurse oncologist, a gentleman who thought that Trump was fascinating and mysterious. But what else can you tell me about these jurors that have been seated this far?
Alex, you laid it out pretty well there. We have a range of people from all different backgrounds. We have 3 women and 4 men. The question moving forward, of course, is how long will this take? But also, usually in cases like this, the people on the jury don't know the defendant. They don't know the criminal defendant. In this case, it's much different because I really can't think of many people in the world who don't know Donald Trump. So that's also a sort of challenge they will have to overcome here in terms of whether there are any biases. But I will say that we're getting notes from our reporting team inside the court, and Olivia Rubin just reported that court is off to a rocky start. There's already an issue with a previously seated juror. Remember, there's 7. This is juror number 2. Apparently, the judge just said they received a call from juror number 2 who conveyed that after sleeping on it overnight, she had concerns about serving on the case. The judge called that juror back this morning. She is now answering questions. I'm reading from a reporting that has just gone out. This juror said, quote, "I don't believe at this point I can be fair and unbiased." Given that statement, she's likely to be dismissed. I think we could be down to potentially 6 jurors here in a few minutes.
Wow. Well, and Catherine, thanks for that news. Also, we'll see what that does to the timeline for opening statements on Monday. But Emily, given this, I'm curious, your experience. Part of selecting a jury is also, as a prosecution, considering how those jurors will work in deliberations. What would you be looking for?
Exactly. I think particularly for the prosecution, you're looking to get a group of jurors who are going to be harmonious, right? They're going to be able to reach a unanimous verdict. You don't want a lot of jurors with super strong personalities in there who are going to butt heads. Obviously the Trump team is looking for at least one person who's going to be a holdout. But I think it's a difficult job for a prosecution because it's hard to get a sense of people with the limited time that you have. But what you're really looking for, I mean, and that's part of why they ask questions like, have you been on a jury before? If you have, did that jury reach a verdict? It doesn't matter what the verdict was, but that at least tells you this is someone who sat in a room with 11 other people and came to a unanimous decision.
Catherine, John, Emily, thank you all. And we will be following this case throughout the day right here on ABC News Live. And on the campaign trail, a public display of support today as much of the Kennedy family is expected to appear in mass to endorse President Biden. Democrats are hoping the storied family will help convince voters not to support Robert Kennedy Jr.'s independent bid for the White House. Our George Stephanopoulos takes a look at a divided family.
He's the fourth Kennedy to run for president.
I'm here to declare myself an independent candidate.
But the first to break with the Democratic Party. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., famously known for espousing conspiracy theories about the efficacy of vaccines, officially launched his presidential bid last year. He's running as an independent, which means his campaign must collect anywhere from hundreds to thousands of signatures, depending on the state, to get on the ballot. Only Utah has confirmed that Kennedy is qualified, but his campaign says they have enough signatures to get him on the ballot there and in 7 other states. Several of his family members are worried he could swing a close race between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Some of his siblings are calling his run dangerous. Cousin Jack Schlossberg, President John F. Kennedy's grandson, calls it an embarrassment.
I know him. I have no idea why anyone thinks he should be president.
I am concerned that voting for Bobby is going to take votes away from Biden and lead to a Trump election.
But the 70-year-old says he has many relatives, including his daughter-in-law, who runs his campaign, that support his candidacy.
I come from a family, from a milieu, where we came home at night and ate dinner with my father, and he would orchestrate debates between us, and we were in the same way that his father did with him. And we could disagree on issues, and we could disagree with passion and information, but we still love each other.
Our thanks to George Stephanopoulos for that report, and we'll have continuing campaign coverage all day long. Prince Williams is making his first public appearance since his wife, Princess Catherine, revealed her cancer diagnosis last month. Maggie Rulli is live in London with all the details. Hey, Maggie.
Hey, Alex. Yeah, Prince William has officially returned to public engagements. He had taken the last couple of weeks off to be with his family, and he had postponed several engagements leading up to Kate's announcement. But just this morning, we saw him out in public. He visited West London and Surrey. That's a county about an hour south of us here in London. He was visiting charities about food waste. And we know that environmental causes like this one are so close to the prince's heart. Now, as for Princess Kate and when she could be returning to official royal duties, right now, there's no timeline from the palace. In that video message, she did reiterate that she's feeling well and she's, quote, getting better every day. But we understand she will only be returning to royal duties when her doctors say it's okay for her to do so. Now, we do expect to be seeing a lot more of Prince William in the coming weeks and months, as he's really only just one of a handful of senior members of the royal family that are still making public engagements. He's also shouldering a lot of responsibilities for his father, King Charles, as he continues to undergo cancer treatment as well. Now, guys, we last saw the monarch on Easter here in London, and we do understand he's still making those weekly audiences with the Prime Minister. But as to when he could be back doing any type of public engagements, again, no official timeline, and that only comes down to when his doctors say it's going to be okay. Alex?
All right, Maggie, thank you. And the Princess of Wales is one of the most popular members of the British royal family, but she recently became the center of a firestorm that has rocked the monarchy to its core. Check out Impact by Nightline as they dive into how the royal family is weathering the storm. The Crown in Crisis is now streaming on Hulu. And coming up, why an NBA player is now banned for life from the league and a precedent this could set moving forward for sports betting. And also ahead, Simone Biles is opening up about her mental health struggles, what she's sharing about the moment she decided to withdraw from some of the events this year of trauma, the year of trauma that led up to the moment, and how she's healing.
Tonight, Donald Trump's criminal trial moves closer to seating a jury. Plus, will the battle over Ukraine aid put the House Speaker's job in jeopardy? Again, more Americans turn to World News Tonight with David Muir, the most watched newscast on television.
She's the star of Growing Up Chrisley, and tomorrow morning, in an emotional new interview, Savannah Chrisley opens up about her parents, their prison sentences, and taking custody of her younger siblings while her parents are incarcerated.
That's the tough part.
Good Morning America, tomorrow.
This is not about parents who just let their kid watch violent movies, play violent video games. This is about parents who neglected their son, ignored his cries for help, then bought him a gun.
The first parents in America to be charged in a school shooting.
They purchased that gun for him and bragged about it. You don't get to walk away from that. That's a criminal act.
Sins of the Parents, the Crumbly Trials.
The opposite of love is not hate, it's just being ignored.
Only on Hulu.
They're the most mysterious creatures on Earth. They're masterminds. Shapeshifters. They're just so incredibly alien. And yet, more like us than we ever could have imagined. What more do they have to tell us?
A tragedy in a small town. A church pastor is dead. Shot in the back with a 12-gauge shotgun.
People were like, what? The preacher's wife?
There had to be a good reason, some speculated, to pick up that shotgun and shoot her husband.
Mary appeared to have had a marriage made in heaven, but behind closed doors, it was a living hell.
All new 2020, Friday night at 9, 8 Central on ABC.
Welcome back. The NBA has just handed down one of its harshest punishments ever to a player. Toronto Raptors center Jontay Porter has been banned for life after an investigation that uncovered his alleged connection to sports betting, disclosing confidential information to bettors, limiting his own playing time, and even betting on a game himself. ABC's Whit Johnson has more.
The NBA banning Jonte Porter of the Toronto Raptors for life. The 24-year-old's professional basketball career derailed for violating the league's rules on sports betting. An investigation concluding he allegedly placed at least 13 bets on NBA games under an associate's account, ranging from $15 to $22,000, totaling more than $54,000.
This will